Hello everyone, I'm Michelle. Welcome to Artful with Michelle. Today we're going to paint this adorable gnome, St. Patrick's Day Leprechaun Gnome on black. And this is a 9 by 12 canvas, and I have base coated it with black gesso. I like to do that because if you get a spot out in your background and you are using a black canvas that came black and you touch it up with paint, you're going to see it. It's not going to match exactly, but when you use your base coat in either paint or gesso, you can touch up as need be. So this little gnome has already been traced on using white Surround paper, and I added some little arms. And just to show you, this is the gesso that I have been using. It's called Handy Art Acrylic Gesso. It's available on Amazon. It's a non-toxic product. It says AP up here, compliant. And it does have a little bit of an odor. It's not too bad, but you know, if you can, you might want to do it out in your patio or, you know, out in the fresh air. But it's not bad. So I have this little guy, and we're going to paint it together. I like you to see the process. I like you to see when there's a mistake, how I change it, or what I perceive as a mistake. But remember, there really aren't any mistakes in art. The important thing is that you just enjoy and have fun. I'm going to add a few rocks out here. So they'll be in your pattern. They're just not in the sketch that I created. And maybe, you know, maybe I'll do another one here, and there'll be grasses here, and I'm going to do another little rock here. All right, let's get started. It's a beautiful day here, and I do have the window open in the studio, so you might hear some birds or you might hear some traffic go by. I just enjoy having windows open whenever I can. So the paints that I have out on my plate now are green oxide, chrome yellow. This is peach, just for his nose. It's peach pink by Lucas. Use any flesh color that you like. This is a deep pink. It happens to be quinacridone rose, but it's whatever you have. This is raw sienna. And this one is a tan. It's actually an Artist Loft unbleached titanium. If I decide to use that, and I have some titanium white and some Mars black. And anything that I add, you will see in the process, and also I will put it in your supply list. I'm also planning on using this great metallic gold from Creative Inspirations for the buckle on his hat. So I am going to let the background create the shadow on this and have you watch as we go. Keep in mind that you can also paint it solidly, and you don't have to have a black background. But for the technique that I'm going to show you, we're going to do our best to let the black actually become the shading. And anything that we might cover up, we'll just cover with a little bit of black, and you'll see as we go. All right, so here we go. Let's get started. I have assorted brushes out here, which are my typical. If you follow me, or you are a member, you probably know already what brushes I like the best, but I will most likely be using the 1/2 inch flat golden Taklon. I also have a small filbert. This is a 6. And I have a couple of rounds and a liner handy. I even have an angle shader, and this is a filbert, which I may or may not use. They're just out because they're kind of my favorite go-to brushes. Okay. All right, so I have the water basin here, which you'll hear me scrubbing my brush on frequently. And my water, paper towels are right here. So let's get started. You'll notice when I traced this, I left the beard off. And that's because my plan is to just have it flow very loosely and to leave a lot of black showing under the brim of the hat. So I'm going to start by getting that nose base coated, because typically flesh color on black takes more than one coat. And let's see, I don't have a smaller flat handy, so I'm going to grab it from over here. And I'm just going to grab a little bit of white and a little bit of flesh color and mix it, and I'm going to just get his nose painted in. That's going to take a couple coats because the color is so light up against the black. So let's just get that based in on there. And let's see. It is easier to come in under where you're painting. So I would typically flip this over to do the bottom of the nose like this. And we'll let it dry, and we'll come back a couple times with that. His hands, while this is upside down, I'm going to do the bottom part of the hands. And I'm not going to paint all the way to the sleeve. I'm just going to kind of pull the paint and leave the area under the cuff darker. Same here, I'm going to paint the edge and leave a separation between the thumb and the hand, and you'll see that come together as we go. And I'm going to do the same here. I'm going to start at the bottom of the hand, kind of pull toward the sleeve, and just lifting the brush off while it's in motion. And then I'm going to do the little thumb and leave it darker where it touches the hand. So I'm slowly going to flip this back around, and we'll let that set up, and we will start working on the hat. Let's get that hat based. And so what I'm going to do again is take a flat brush, and I'm going to start with some of the deeper olive green. That's the Creative Inspirations. And I'm going to wipe some of it off, and basically I'm going to start at the edge of the hat, kind of pull in. I do want to cover that graphite line if at all possible. And as I pull it, I'm going to let the brush run out of paint, okay? You'll see a little shine, which is helpful actually when we're painting on black for you to see. So I'm starting with that little bit of a deeper color, the deeper green, just as a base. And again, I'm letting the brush run out of paint. So I'm going to go ahead and turn this, grab some green, and get this. And I'm going to pull, letting the brush just kind of run out of paint, and I sweep. Okay, so I'm not using much paint. You'll see here on my plate how little I'm grabbing. If it's too much, I touch it on my paper towel because I don't want it super wet. And I'm just going to go all along here, sweep it in. Now, as it comes down to the band and buckle area, I want to let the paint run out, and I want to use the black as part of the shadow behind the buckle and the band. So you're not going to see me bring my brush all the way down. The other good reason for me to turn is if I go like this to do it, you're not going to see what's under my hand. So I like to turn it like this so that you get a good view. And I'm going to get the smaller, I'm going to get a round brush to get down into this point area. And it is jagged, and that's intentional. We can put a little tassel at the bottom of the hat too. I think I might do that in gold, but we'll see. All right, and we're just going to pull, get that white covered. We're going to add some highlight too. That will help. Using my finger a little bit. All right, so that's the first coat. Then there is like a little band between, there's like a little piece of hat fabric between the band and the brim. And I'm going to have some fun with that. So I'm going right down to the brim. And I'm going to grab the flat brush again, wipe it, and grab some of this green, And I'm going to paint the edge of the brim and just kind of pull it down. This can be solid right across. We don't need to add shadow to this because it sticks out and it's on top. So we're going to make this lighter as we go. So I will turn it this way to paint the bottom edge of that band. Again, I'm using the same color, the olive green, and then we'll come in with lighter color. So let's get this in here. I do want to have darkness above the nose. So we'll leave some little black in there. Alright, so there we go. As for the bottom of this, I'm going to leave it pretty dark. I'm just going to put some green at the bottom in a moment. So I'm just going to take a look at this and decide how I want to proceed with this being a little bit of a different shade of green or yellow, and how we're going to handle our gnome's outfit. Now, you have to keep in mind when you're doing something like this that the beard is kind of going to take over, or I want it to take over. I like to have a lot of fun with beards. That's my favorite thing. Okay, so I usually try to move in segments so that like one area can be drying while we work on another. And this nose is dry, so seeing that's going to take a few layers, I'm going to go ahead and get another, another coat. So while I was getting ready to film this for you, I had gotten out my small filbert brush, and I was looking all over for it before I hit the record button. Couldn't find it anywhere. It was over on the top of my ear. Do you do that with your small brushes? I do that all the time. I've been known to literally go to the grocery store with like 2 or 3 small brushes over the top of my ear. I forget they're there. They just feel so natural to me. Okay, so I'm going to use the small flat to get the hands done again. Like I say, the flesh usually on black will take like at least 3 hits. And a little more peach. And I'm going to pull and leave it darker near the sleeve. And with this little thumb, I'm going to make it lighter on the outside and let it be dark near the hand and the sleeve. I'm going to do the same thing over here. Alright, so now let's turn this around. You can see that this is going to need another coat. I might actually pat some in now without white and just see. I think I'm going to pat it a little bit. It's okay if it gets textured. Whoops. Ah, he's got a little bump on his nose. Okay. It actually has a pinkish color, but I think the lights, let me try shutting one off. Is that better? I'm thinking that's better. Okay. So the decision comes, how do we want this band? Do we want it to be lighter? Do we want it to be darker? And because this band is on top, I'm going to make this one darker. And I'm just going to stick with, I think olive green plus green oxide together. And I'm just going to go ahead and paint that. But I'm going to leave the bottom of it darker where it touches the brim. Okay? So basically, I just That's actually good for now. I said darker, but I meant, you know, kind of the same green without going lighter, because I want this to be lighter, I decided. All right. So for the outfit, I'm going to go ahead. I'm just using the small filbert because it was in my hand, and so I used it. But I'm doing the outside edge, okay? And I'm using some green oxide too, and I'm just going to pull it in, but toward the body and the shoes, I'm going to leave it dark. I'm going to let the black show. Take some green oxide, a little bit of the olive, and same thing here. Going to do the bottom of the sleeve, the outside of the sleeve, and as we come toward the body, I'm going to leave it darker, just kind of scrubbing and letting the brush lift off in motion. Okay, now the clothes, I say I don't want a lot of color under where the beard's going to come down, so let's do something. Let's decide how we want this beard to come out. So I just envision it coming out all along here, coming more into like a V shape, and coming more up like this. I don't know if you can see that there. So I want the green to not touch the shoes and not touch the beard. Okay, so I'm going to turn this upside down. It doesn't matter if you do this part upside down or right side up. And I am just going to paint it green right up the middle. I'm going to take some green oxide. So you can see I'm just kind of pulling. I'm going to leave it jagged under the beard. So I'm actually turning the brush kind of sideways on the pants and just kind of making it jagged where the beard will go. All right, and then I just want to pull it toward the shoes, leaving it dark behind the shoes. Or I should say on top, the way you're looking at it. Okay? The edge of the shirt will be green. Okay? So we're defining where the jacket, let's call it a jacket or shirt, whatever, where that, I'm going to put a little more green here, where that comes against, and the arm is sort of in the back. By creating, excuse me a moment, by creating that edge, we help give dimension. Okay, by setting the arm backwards. Why? Because we left it dark up against the body. And we're just going to come in, add a little more green, and that's good, just like that. So as I come to the shoe, you know, I'm just kind of letting that brush lift off like that in motion, lift off in motion. Okay, so I'm going to work on the shoes. I'm going to do one layer, and I'm going to go to the larger flat, and I'm going to grab some of the raw sienna, little bits at a time, and I'm going to do the very top of the shoe. And I'm going to pull down, and I'm going to let the bottom of the shoe stay darker. So this is a neat way to paint when you want to have a black background and you want the background to become your shadow. It's kind of fun. There we go. Okay, so that's step one. I'm going to get this shoe done right around the edge, the top. And we've created a shadow where the jacket is in the back because we left that black. Okay. I'm going to have to turn this a little bit so I can get over here. And we're just going to pull All right. Oops, there we go. Okay, he's starting to look like something. Okay, I'm going to make a bright lime green for the band. Okay, and how I like to do that is I take my chrome yellow and I put it in a separate pile, and then I take a little bit of green oxide at a time and mix it into the yellow. The green is very strong, so you want to do it off to the side, and you want to be careful so that you don't get it too green. And I'm going to take just a little white and mix it in with that too. And then I'm going to hit the top of the band with that color and the side. And I'm just going to pull in toward the buckle. I'm going to take a little paint off. I'm going to go ahead and paint the whole band to the bottom, but when I get near the buckle, I'm going to kind of lift the stroke up in motion. Go in here, kind of stay in the middle there, and then over here a little bit more, and we're just going to go ahead and get that in there. I want this just a little bit more squared off there. Okay, I'll do the same thing here. All right, that's going to need another coat also. I'm going to go ahead and go to the band with that. Okay, so he's starting to take some shape. He's going to need a few layers. Now this looks a lot brighter under the light than it actually is, but you know, you can mix that however you like. Okay. All right, one more. I'm hoping just one more layer of peach, just to kind of get that nose in. And we might have to touch it up after we do the beard. I'm going to get the smaller brush and get some more color on the thumb and on the hand, mostly on the edges. Birds outside are very happy this morning. It's warm today, but we're getting a cold spell Sunday and Monday and Tuesday. I believe Monday and Tuesday this week. So, all right, let's do another layer on the green hat and everything. So I'm going to start going brighter on the highlights, okay? I'm going to take the flat brush again. This is a 1/2 inch. It's a great size for this size canvas. And I'm just going to take some of this lime green and maybe a little green oxide. Just come in with a little bit of a brighter color. And we're going to go around the edge again. And we're going to lay that down. And I'm just going to swish it like this, like sweep it toward the middle. And I'm going to leave it dark in spots. I want it dark up behind the band anyway. And let's see, you can also dry brush these colors with a stiff brush if you prefer. There's all kinds of ways to apply paint to a canvas. This is, you know, one way, and you might have a method that you already prefer, so just play with it. Do your thing, do you. And here we go, we're going to put some more color on the edge and just kind of sweep it in. All right, he's pretty cool already. I'm going to put a little at the bottom here just because I want to definitely define that edge against the black. Okay, and you can bring it in and create folds in the hat too. Okay. All right. I'm going to grab some more with just the tiniest bit of white. Just a little bit like that. Because I want it just a little solid up there. I'm letting a lot of black show. Okay. Then here, same thing, I'm going to grab a little green oxide, a little bit of the lime green that we mixed, and I'm just going to lighten this right down the middle, leaving it darker under this band and buckle, and leaving it darker behind the brim. And then I want the brim to get pretty bright. So I'm going to grab some of this mix that we made, this lime green mix, and I'm going to do the top of the brim, the sides. Again, it's not quite as bright to the eye as it looks under the recording lights, but I will, when I edit this video, up in this upper right corner, there'll be a little image of this painting also for you to reference, as well as a separate reference photo to look at the beginning of the video. All right. That's good. I want to just kind of define the bottom edge of the hat without giving it a whole lot of color. So I'm just going to come in like this and put a little edge and just kind of dry brush it like that. Okay, I'm going to grab the yellow green and the green oxide and do the same thing on this side, leaving it dark where the beard's going to be and dark underneath the brim. Okay. So he's looking cute. It's a process of layering, okay, and you just kind of have to be patient with it. It all comes together in the end, and it looks so cute. I actually haven't painted this little dude before. I just got him off the sketch table, so we'll see how he develops. But I love a little gnome, and I love doing beards. So here's some lighter green on the edge of this sleeve, and at the bottom, where it touches the hand, leaving it dark all along the body and the shoes, okay? And let's take some green oxide, yellow, a little white, just making more of that lime green. We're going to put it here on the jacket, and we're just going to pull in a little, leaving the dark areas dark like they're supposed to be, and just kind of dry brushing this across, meaning that there's hardly any paint in my brush and I'm just kind of dragging it. And then on this side, we're going to do the same, where we bring the color down the edge and pull it in, leaving the area on the sleeve darker. And we're going to do our edge, pull it in, the bottom of the sleeve, and just leave it darker up against the body like that. This sleeve needs to be a little brighter. I put more of the yellow on this side, so let's make them match. Do a little bit of yellow there and kind of pull it in. Okay. All right. Super cute. All right. I'm going to do another layer here on the tops of the shoes with the raw sienna, making it bright at the top and just kind of dry brushing it down with a sweeping motion, letting the brush come off the canvas at the end of the stroke. So you don't want to go straight and stop. You want to do more of a sweeping motion. Okay. And I forgot to tie up the blinds there. The breeze, there we go. The breeze is making them rattle. Can you hear the birds outside? They're so happy. Okay. All right, I'm going to take just a tiny bit of the unbleached titanium and mix it. You can just use white also with some of that raw sienna. And I'm going to make the tops of the shoes a little bit brighter. Just kind of patting it and sweeping it. Okay. It's pretty dry. It's actually drying pretty well. All right, let's do this. Let's shade the bottom of this nose. So I'm going to take some of this raw sienna on the corner of my brush, and I'm going to place the corner of the brush at the bottom of the nose. And I'm just going to kind of drag that. Now my peach wasn't completely dry right here, so I was lifting it a little. I should have my blow dryer right by my side. It is, it's just not plugged in. Okay. I'm just going to pat a little bit. Definitely need to let that dry. Let me get the small flat, and I'm just going to grab a little white and add some peach to it, not much. And then I'm just going to tap. Okay, that works. I'm going to tap in a little highlight there at the top. Okay. And tap it down. I don't want his nose to look dirty. I just want to give it a shadow. Okay. I want to identify the edge of this a little bit better. So I'm going to, actually have an angle brush, which is nice and easy for adding shadow. So I'm going to grab some of this green oxide on the tip, which they call the toe. They call this the toe and this the heel. And so I'm just going to blend it on my plate a little bit, and I'm going, yeah, I like that. I'm going to add it to the edge like that. So I didn't really like the way this was just kind of sitting without a nice crisp edge. So by putting a little bit of a darker edge there, it's just giving it kind of like an edge, a definite shape. And I'm going to go ahead and do it here. And here. Now inside the buckle, I'm going to take some of that green, but also a little olive green. And I'm just going to go ahead and put it around the edge in there, because we're going to paint that gold. And that's also going to take a couple of coats. Alright, so there we go. Again, it looks, I'm going to shut this other light off just to see. Okay. That might actually be better for you. Yeah, I feel like the lights, there. I'm going to try this and you can let me know. Alright. Let's get the rocks painted with a little bit of gray. So I'm going to use this filbert brush, which is an Artist Loft Sorrento filbert number 8 that I just happen to have. And I'm going to take a little bit of black that had a water drop, so I need to go over here. wipe it off, and then some white. And I'm going to make a gray, and I'm literally just going to do the edge of the rock and kind of bring it down and leave it dark at the bottom. And we'll work on that in a little bit. And there's another one over here. So I basically do want to leave a lot of the black kind of in there, and it's a rock, so we're going to give them texture. Okay. I'm going to make grasses too. All right. Put that in the water. So this water's turning green, but I still have some clean water over there. It just, my basins are very well used, so there's lots of dark color at the bottom. All right. Let's go ahead and work on that beard, because honestly, it just makes it. So I'm going to use my long script liner, and this is a very, very old one. I believe this is a 0 or a 1 script liner. It's a long one. So you have to really water your paint down when you use a liner. And my goal here is to make brush strokes. Okay, I do have a shadow without, let me see, maybe if I soften that a little. I don't want to create a shadow with my hand for you. Okay, my goal here is to stroke, I have water on the brush so you can see, is to kind of stroke the hairs curved, and then in the middle kind of straight, and then curve the other way like this. Okay, we're going to start with a dark gray, and we're going to build up lighter and lighter. We're going to let the hair go wherever we want. I'm going to try to keep black under the nose, but if we end up covering that, we'll put it back in. Okay, so I'm going to add some water to the black, get some white, and I'm going to make a gray. Again, I'm just wiping right here. There's a drop of water on the ferrule, and so I'm wiping it off because I don't want it to drip down the brush while I'm painting and make a puddle on my gnome. So you can do the beard upside down or right side up, whatever feels best for you. For me, I do want the hairs to be lighter at the end of the stroke, so I'm going to be working right side up. And I'm going to tip this a little bit, and there is a little water from me doing the demo, so I'm just going to pat that a little. So I'm going to start by pulling some gray like this. I want to leave the blackness under the brim. I'm getting a little water on my brush and reloading, making sure I don't have water on that ferrule. And I'm just going to pull. Now I want some of that black to show. Okay, so I don't want to go so crazy that I cover the whole beard with gray. Okay, notice how I'm curving. Okay, I'm going back up a little bit, leaving lots of black. So even if we go up in here, we want to leave black. Get some more paint. We're still curving a little, and right in the middle of the nose, we want to start coming down straight. Kind of straight, and then we're going to start curving. Grab a little bit of water. So I do want some hair down here, but I want to keep a lot of this darkness showing, so I don't want the beard to get too long. We can make a few of the hairs longer later. So this is just sort of like a medium to dark gray. And over here, I'm just going to put in a few more, but I want to leave that darkness under the hat also. So you can see that with the first layer, we have a lot of black showing, and that's going to create our depth and dimension. Okay, so take a look and see if there's any more in that color that you want to add. I do want, it's as tempting as it is to just go crazy, I want to go crazier with the lighter colors. Let me see, that's still a little wet, so I'm going to leave the nose alone for now, and we'll work on that in a little bit. Okay, so I'm going to get some more white, and I'm going to add white to the gray mix, making a little bit lighter gray. And notice I'm rolling the brush in it. And with a liner like this, I fill the brush. And again, we have to have a little bit of water in there to get it to flow nicely, and make sure you don't have water on your ferrule. And now I'm going to put some more in. It's just a little bit of a lighter gray, which I want to put on top of the other gray, not on top of the black if I can help it. I want to leave that black showing, if at all possible. Don't get worried about trying to be perfect. It's a gnome, and the beards are supposed to be fun. I love painting the beards. Okay, so over here it's a little jagged. That's okay. We're going to come in with a little shadow of black, I think, to make that look even better. Now, I like it the way it is, but I want some brightness also, because I want the beard to really pop. So I'm going to continue with that puddle, but I'm going to add a lot more white. I'm going to come in and I'm going to put some more, but I'm going to kind of leave it in the center where the beard would come out the most. So I want to create some dimension there, some texture. So I'm trying to hit it where I imagine this beard would be at the highest point, catching the light. And we will see how that works out. So we're going to come across the center. I need more water and I need more white. And I'm staying with the curve. Okay, I like that. Okay, so I'm going to get mostly white now on my dirty brush, and I'm going to come in. I'm going to do a little bit more here. I need more water. It's getting gut thick right there. I am using a tube white because I have to unclog the tip on my liquid white, so the tubes tend to get a little thicker. But this is okay. I'm going to grab a little black and I'm going to put that in here right now. There we go. So you're going to keep working this. I like the lightness being in the middle of the beard like that, but we want to bring some down too. So let's come in. Make sure you have a fluid flow to your white, and throw a few in there that are a little bit longer like that, because they'll pop up against the jacket. I'm liking that a lot. Patience. Patience is the whole thing here. So I'm going to bring a few down a little bit longer, and we'll see them down here, which I really like that. So when you're using a liner like that, you're going to hold it kind of straight up and pull it and just kind of let that brush stroke come off of your canvas at the end, so you'll get a nice fine looking hair. Okay, I like that a lot. Okay, now right in here it's a little choppy, so I'm going to get a little darker gray. And just kind of come in here and fix some of that with some little hairs. He doesn't really have like a mustache per se, it's just all this coming out from under the nose. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to add more shadow under that nose, just to smooth that. Okay, so I want to get a little more white. And the white is, as it dries, it's just kind of going to, not really disappear, but it's going to get absorbed into into the base color, and we'll probably want to come in and add more. Alright, so while that's drying, I'm going to grab a little of that gray. I'm going to come in with my little brush here and just kind of define the edge of the rocks, and then just kind of tap in a little bit. Define the edge with a little gray. You can use a round brush if that works better. And I just want to leave it dark at the base and where it touches like the gnome or something. Okay. Super cute. All right. It's the only thing with the window open, it does let the humidity in, so sometimes the paint just doesn't dry as fast as I'd like it to. So I'm just putting in some flesh and I'm kind of patting it over the shading a little. All right. I'm going to grab that filbert and put some highlight up in his hat. So I'm going to make some lime green again, which was the chrome yellow with a little green oxide. Green oxide will take over really fast. And let's add a little more white. Mix it over here. Then I'm going to wipe it on my paper towel because I don't want a lot of paint on my brush. And I'm just going to come in and like on this high point here, just going to add it and just kind of pat and scrub. Scrub a little bit in here, leaving the dark edges, which sets it in the back. And then I'm going to grab some more and come in. I'm going to add a little white to this yellow that we made. And I'm going to add to this brim. Just kind of dry brushing. Just want to brighten it and bring it forward. So the lighter areas pop forward and the darker areas set toward the back, and that's our goal. That's why we're creating our lights and our darks. All right. We can add some of this to the edges of the clothing while it's in our brush, a little bit of this lighter color. See how that pops. And the same here. I'll put it here. So cute. Get some brightness on the edge here and just kind of dry brush it in. Okay, we can put a little bit at the bottom of the brim. Let's turn him upside down for this. And then maybe right here, just scrub just a little bit off the tip of this brush, just a tiny bit. Okay, so that's looking good. And I'm just going to put some more in here, and I'm just going to kind of dry brush it in. Wherever you want to add some highlight, and leave some dark areas in there too. I do want to define the edge. All right, let me grab a small flat. I want to define the edge of this right here. And grab some white and some yellow, and just right over here, Maybe add some green to that. We kind of lost the edge of that somehow in the process. All right. Okay. So I wanted this part of the band to be just like part of the hat and then this other band on top. And I want to do something to bring that forward. I'm thinking some little dots, but I'll think about that while we continue with the rest. So we want to make some like 4-leaf clovers and clovers. And I think that the easiest way, honestly, is to just make like 4 little hearts together. And I'm going to use the small filbert. I actually really like these. These are the Simply Simmons. I usually pick them up at Michael's, and I think they run about $3.99. They're not bad anyway. This one is a number 6, and it's small enough to make some nice little clovers. So I'm going to draw one just to show you. I'm going to put one here, and I'm just going to draw it by doing like 4 little hearts, and 2, 3, 4, and then we'll decide where the stem should go. So you could use a round brush, but if you have a filbert, even a smaller one than this, it should fit right in there for you. So what I'm going to do is attempt to leave the centers a little bit darker, and the edges we're just going to go right for the green oxide with a little bit of the yellow, chrome yellow in it. We have to add a little bit of white just because we're working on black and the green and yellows aren't very opaque. So I'm just going to put my brush here and just kind of pull in, leaving it darker in the middle. And I'm going to zoom that in for you a bit, so bear with me for a sec. I always forget which way. Okay. So that will be easier for you to see. And take some more. And same thing, pull from the outside and you'll get that rounded edge, and just leave the middle darker. And just, you can use variations of your green and yellow plus a little white, because we don't want it to be exactly the same shade on every single leaf. And same over here. So you might find you want to draw them first, or you might, let me get this guy under there for you, or you might really just want to freehand them with your brush. So we're going to do these randomly wherever we want. And you can also turn this brush up on its side and make a tinier stroke. So I'm going to take a little white on my brush. And over here I'm going to do a little smaller one for you. Okay? So I'm just going to go 1, 2. I'm going to have to spin this, so bear with me. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's 2 petals. They don't all have to be 4-leaf clovers either. Some can just be 3 like that. I think they look cute. And we can also make it look like he's holding them. I'm going to zoom this back out so I don't forget. All right, and trying that other light off again. All right, I'm trying to get the lighting perfect. Perfection is highly overrated, right? So I'm going to go like that and do a heart. I kind of think I like the 3-leaf clovers better from a painting standpoint. Okay, and you know, I'm not aiming for perfection. I'm having fun. I want to enjoy everything I do when I'm painting, and I want you to enjoy. And don't hold like perfection as a standard, because there really is no such thing. And I think if you have fun and maybe you learn something, then it was just worth playing and enjoying yourself. I got some more of that lighter color on the edge of my brush while I'm over here, and I just want to come in kind of hit some areas and lighten them up a little bit. Okay, I know it looks super bright, just bear with that. It's the lighting. It's daytime and I do have a window also here, so I would really love to film this outside in the patio on nice days, but I would have to move my entire recording equipment out there. All right, so let's see. He's looking pretty cute. Oh my goodness. Wait till we get our grass in there. Okay, so I'm just going to do a couple of clovers. You can do as many as you want. You could do a bunch on his hat, and I may still decide to do that. Who knows? Where do we want to go from here? How about some stems? Let's get that long liner out again. I'm going to make the stems on the light side because they're on the black. So I'm going to make some more lime green plus white. It's okay if they're a little yellow looking. And I'm just going to come and make a little curved line and maybe a little notch at the end and another one here, like they're just kind of floating out there. Or you could bring them down like they're in the grass, which is fine too. So speaking of grass, I wanted to do the grass, but I want to show you how to get some black back under that mustache, just because it's so choppy in there. Mustache, beard, whatever we want to call it. So I'm going to take the angle brush, but you can use the flat also like I've been showing you. And I'm just going to take some black on the corner of that brush, the toe, and I'm going to blend it a little bit on my plate. I'm going to touch my paper towel because I don't want too much paint. And with the black point toward the nose, I'm just going to come in and just so I think that kind of smooths it out, and you know, you can bring it down on a little bit. It's a shadow. Okay, I like that a lot. If you lost the shadow under the hat, you can put some in there too. Like right here, I could do a little, so I'll just take a tiny bit. And, you know, right here where the beard's out. All right, so if you wanted to, also, lots of times I'll make some hair go out onto the brim and stuff, and sometimes my hair that I make goes and flips out. You'll see in other videos. But for this one, I made it kind of tidy, so I don't think I'm going to go out onto the hat. Let's get some grass in here, and then we'll decide. I say grass, and then I keep deciding to do something else. So let's get a little gold squirted out and put a coat of gold on our buckle. Okay. You could also leave it black if you wanted. I do so love this gold. I'm not into metallic really much, but for the buckle, and this is such a pretty gold. A small flat brush will let you make a nice straight buckle, but wonky is okay too, because let's face it, this is a whimsical and fun design. Alright, so we're going to let that set up. I'm going to use the edge of this brush to try to make some nice sharp corners on the buckle. Alright, so we'll let that dry. And now let's work on some grass. So I'm going to start the grass with a number 6 round, and then I'll probably go in with the liner. So I left a lot of room at the bottom here for grass. I'm going to move this up. Alright, so I'm going to take some of that mossy green. I might add a tad bit of black. Make a black green for the first go round. And I'm just going to pull some brush strokes upward. Now you might want to turn this upside down for this, or you might just want to leave it right side up. It's whatever feels good for you. I like to go right side up because I want the end of my brush stroke to be finer. Your blades of grass are thicker at the bottom than they are at the tip. Okay, and I'm leaving a lot of black at the bottom. And I'm just coming in, and I like my grass to turn different ways and to crisscross. And let some of it go down a little bit lower than others. I'm going to put some little white flowers in the grass and put some clovers in there if you want. Okay, so I'm just letting the grass go, like he's really sitting down in it, and I'm letting it like touch his hands and the rocks. So cute. I am loving him. Okay. I'm going to take a little white, tap it on my paper towel. I'm going to come in and just kind of tap a little bit at the tops of these rocks. Just a little bit. Oh, you could do that before the grass. They weren't as bright as I wanted. All right. So the next thing that we have to do is bring the grass forward, and we do that by doing the same thing we did in the beard, adding lighter, lighter, lighter colors as we come up. So I do have some darker areas that I'd like to get a little bit of grass in also. So I'm just mixing some yellows and greens. I just want to come down and have a little bit here and there in those areas. Okay. So we're going to do the same. We're going to come in with some lighter color here and there, leaving some dark showing. Don't feel like you want to cover everything. Let the darkness show in the back. Okay, let's see. I'm going to come across. I'm liking that. Get some grasses in the back there. So let's go ahead and put a little back here. Give them some background. And now we're going to change to our liner brush. Alright, so it's this long brush. We're going to do some grasses that are really tall. So I'm going to get the yellow and the green, and we're going to add some white. And I'm just going to come in. Just have fun with it. I love adding the highlight colors and just, you know, just have fun. He's just a fun little gnome. I love painting Whimsy. This is me. This is who I am. I can paint more serious things, but honestly, I enjoy Whimsy more than anything. I'm into cute, and this little guy certainly is that. So you can see how adding the light and leaving the darkness in the back gives you so much more dimension, this side versus that side. So we want to come in. It's okay to leave some darkness like underneath the rocks and stuff, but we want to come in and put some little clusters of lighter grass also. Okay, and up in here. Let me turn it upside down and just show you a couple of little grasses that we'll bring up. And we'll let them be skinny. At the end of the stroke, we'll stop. Okay, I got a little green there. Let me see if it will come off with water. If not, I have black gesso. Okay, and then over here, I'm going to do the same thing. Need to water down the paint a little bit. And we're just going to come in and put a couple of taller grasses there. Okay. All right, let's turn it right side up and see what we think. What do you think? I think he's really cute. And I'm going to add some more white to this color. And I'm going to come in, you know what, I'm going to flip them again because now I just want some little grass tips to be lighter. So I'm just going to add them like that. In here, a little bit of white. I'm just bringing white on the tips of some of these grasses just to bring them out a little bit. I didn't do much to the clovers. I kind of left them in the background, but you can certainly pop them forward and you can add more color to them. Let's see. Let's grab a little yellow, white. Kind of pop the tip of these clovers a little, and these over here, make them a little brighter on the tip. Need a little sip of a drink before I start having a dry voice. Okay, for this hat band, I did decide that polka dots are going to be what I want, or what I'm going to do. I like to use a tip of a brush, tip of a pencil for polka dots lots of times. So I still have the olive green, and as long as it's wet enough, I'm going to use the tip of the brush, and I'm just going to come in like this and just make some olive green polka dots. You can just space them by eye. I like that a lot. Okay, so here's what I typically do. I've gotten the back of my arm into my paper towel. You know I'm the messy one, right? I like that a lot, so let's keep going with that. I'm gonna put a dot up there. Ugh, my knuckle. Okay, some more. We're gonna put them in here. The other side over here. Remember, if your paint isn't wet enough, you won't get a good polka dot. So I'm actually almost like drawing it on with the tip of my pencil. And I really like that. That's popping it. A couple more things I want to do to this. I do want to take my brush and kind of touch up wherever I still see some of the white Sorrel tracing showing. So I'm going to grab a little olive green and just kind of tap it right there. Maybe right here and there. I don't really want to see the white if I can help it. Alright, over here we need to tidy this up. I'm going to grab some of that green plus a little bit of white. I happen to just have the filbert in my hand, but it doesn't matter. And I'm just going to kind of pull some directional lines there. Right up the middle. Okay. You could take just some clear yellow and just kind of put it up at the top of this brim too if you want to pop it some more. Just the yellow is pretty transparent, so it will be more of just like a glaze than an actual paint color there. Alright, so I think we are almost done. I want to do something else to the top of the shoes. I just want to give them a little more light, so I'm going to grab some of that unbleached titanium and just kind of pat a little bit of a highlight. I'm waiting for my little dog to bark because I hear neighbor noise out there. So I'm hoping she doesn't. Okay, so here we go. Just a little bit of brightness, and I'm just kind of scruffing it down. And it will fade into the shoes a bit too. So the other thing I wanted to do was right here where the nose runs under the hat, I'm going to run some more black there like I did under the nose. So I'm going to grab my angle brush again, and I'm going to take just a little bit of black, and as you can see here, I'm going to, whoops, that's too wet, absorb some of that water, and I'm just going to blend it a little bit. I need a little more black, and I'm going to take the brush and I'm going to run it under the hat, and I'm going to go right across the nose at the top, and there we go. All right, so I've noticed that a lot of the hair in the beard has absorbed in, like I said would happen. It happens always with white especially. Highlights need to be strengthened. So let me grab my liner again, and I'm just going to make a super light gray. I'm going to do it over here. More white, and I'm going to come in and just add a little bit more. I need to wet that a bit. My white needs refreshing. I was gonna touch up the nose with some black, and then I got distracted. The neighbors made noise, the dogs barked, and I stopped the video for a minute. The dog. I mean, she can't control herself. When she hears the neighbors, she wants to chime in. So, okay. So I'm just adding a little bit more, trying to keep it sort of central. Okay, so we'll do a couple that will bring longer, just because, for fun, and to give it a nice highlight. Okay, I did say that we would do a tassel, and I was thinking gold. Let me see something here. I was thinking gold, but now I'm thinking that I'm just going to keep it in the yellowy green realm. So I'm going to take the yellow. See, that's what I mean. I change. I like you. I do my videos this way because I'd like you to see my thought process. And I want to encourage you that you don't have to have every step all figured out before you start. You know, you can always paint it over, right? You can always paint it over. And I think if you learn something, that's it, man. And if you enjoy it, brings you joy. I love painting. So I'm going to create like a tassel that has, well, let's go like this. And then I'm going to do this as though it's kind of like a yarn. So I'm putting my knuckles in the polka dots that I put in the hat band. So good job, Michelle. And I'm just going to pull that like that. Now I have to fix what I did here with my knuckle. Don't you love it? It's great for you to see that I do these things. Don't ever think you have to be perfect, because you don't. I just stick my knuckles in things. Obviously, with a video going, I don't want to be like putting my blow dryer on constantly and having you have to hear that. So I tend to do things wet and hence get my knuckles in it. All right. So I need another dot of the green to replace the one that I just wiped away. Okay, that'll do. One other thing that needs to be done for sure is, well, I want this tassel just a little longer, I think. I will draw one on your pattern when I add the your tracer. But I don't recommend tracing it on, because then you have to try to cover all the lines with paint. So for something fine like this, I think I would just, freehand that. Okay, I'm going to take a little bit of white. I'm going to go across here. Okay. I like the white. I'm going to add a little bit right here too. A little bit of white. Alright, folks, oh, I wanted to straighten his nose out right here. There's a little bump, so I'm going to take the liners in my hand. So I'm going to use that, and right here. Is it necessary? No. But sometimes I just like it a certain way. So you have to decide, you know, when you're done. Like, you can always keep on going and keep on going. Like, I want to take a little bit of this flesh color, and I just want to peach up the hands a little bit more. Like, especially the thumb. But for the shamrocks too, if you want to, you could put a shadow. I'm going to grab a tad bit of black on the corner of my brush, and I'm just going to come in and put some black at the bottom of these hearts. And I think I'm going to like that a lot. See what that did compared to these. So, you know, these are decisions you can always make after the fact. And again, like I say, I do my videos this way because I really like you. I'm just real with you, and I just like you to see the process. Okay, so this little guy is so cute, but there's one other thing that I want to do. I have to sign number 1. So I'm going to grab some of this yellowy green and white, and over here in the corner, I'm going to put my MM. I don't think I made the paint color the right. Okay. My paint is a little on the thick side at this point. You know, you can keep spray bottle of water handy too, so that when you're working, you can just squirt it a little bit and keep it more wet. Okay. I'm just going to put my MM here in the corner. I like to keep it simple. It almost looks like grass. And I have to do a splatter. I like the dark background, but I'm going to splatter some of the lime green. Now check this out. We did not add much in the way of shading. We let the black canvas show through as we were painting. We left it there and it created our dimension, our shadow. So that's pretty cool. I really like that. This white here is just a tad bright. Go over it with a little yellow. Okay. I don't want necessarily splatter all over my gnome. I'm okay with it being on his hat and everything, but I just thought of something else I want to do. If this drives you crazy, let me know, but I like you to see the process. I want some little white flowers too, because they will pop. So nothing fancy, nothing really well thought out, just some little, you know, circles basically. And not much. See how that, look at that side versus this side, and it just brings more life to the painting. I did say that earlier on, that I wanted to put some little white flowers. Now, have I ever decided to add something in the end and then just wished I hadn't? Yes. It's called process. It's okay. Boy, did I get some water on that. All right, I think that'll do. Maybe a little bit up in here. Give them a little background. Okay, so now to splatter, you have to water your paint down too. So I'm going to, I think I need some more paint. I'm gonna put my yellow here. The tiniest bit of green, a little bit of white, and water. Now what I do is I then test on my plate, and I'm kind of happy with the size of that. If they were too small, you'd add more water, and if they're too big, you would dry your brush a little bit. So I'm just going, obviously one got out there that I wasn't ready for. I never pretend that I'm not messy, because I am. Okay, creatively messy. So I'm just going to come out here. I like it down here in the grass too. I just don't want it all over his face. I don't mind on the hat. Okay. All right. So I'm going to take a clear brush or finger and just take the little dots off his face. So I am so happy with this little leprechaun. He's a leprechaun gnome. I think he came out super cute. And you know, have fun with him. Let me know how you like him in the comments, and follow me. I have a YouTube page. I have Patreon. There are exclusive video tutorials that are in my Patreon that don't show up anywhere else but within my Patreon community. So just enjoy everything, have fun, be creative, and I hope to see you in the next video. Have a wonderful day.